Alright, let's get this party started. And yes, I'm calling this the less than or equal to 30 frames per second. Because this game just runs like shit. And I really don't care if I offend anybody. Because it's actually fucking true. Anyway, I finally took on 4 kings. So I'm happy about that. And no, you don't get to read the lore on that. Sorry, I'm not some autistic that has to read every fucking item description and then try to put 2 and 2 together when the game just doesn't make me care enough. Sorry. I am going to be doing some glitches so I can get the certain items to their +5 version when upgraded with the Twinkling Titanite, so you can have fun with that. I don't want to have 2 of these +5s, so I think it goes up to something. I don't know. I might just get rid of them, probably. Let me go ahead and put the Ghost Blade on. I don't remember what it's called. And yes, I have the upgraded crossbow for whenever I fight what's his name. Of course, any person who plays this game knows why I'm probably going for the DLC later, but that's really neither here nor there right now. But the main reason I'm going through this area again is because, first of all, I want to show off just how fucking terrible the frame rate is. And number 2, we have to talk to that dude if we want to have him sell us stuff, because it's one of those NPCs you just have to go back and talk to if you want to be able to do stuff with her. So it's just really fucking stupid, and I hate it, and it's fucking stupid. You literally have to go to the dude again just to have him move elsewhere. He should, like, automatically move after you fucking kill the 4 kings. No, you have to go to him, which is just fucking annoying. Might actually use that transient curse, actually, because I don't feel like using this weapon. Plus, I'm going to buy more anyway, so I don't care. There we go. Burn the bitch. Hold up, Mr. Machiavelli. You made it just in time, actually. There's this slider sometimes just makes the frame rate entirely die out. I actually have another stream of it happening. I'll have to post a highlight of it. It's fucking terrible. That freaking ladder just makes the game completely shit itself in terms of the frame rate. Now I feel like one of those assholes like Chicken Little for thinking that the world's gonna explode, except it didn't. Anyways, you may not have mentioned, if you actually want to get the dude who sells you the good stuff again to move to Firelink, you actually have to talk to him, which you have to go for this stupid ghost-infested room twice. Yes, well. Yes, the gang's all here. It's actually playing GTA Online with Yuval, so I guess the gang really is all here. So I'm being mauled by a bunch of ghosts. But still, I feel like someone would probably complain about the fact that, I don't know, some NPC in Dark Souls 2, 3, or maybe even Elden Ring makes it so you have to that the NPCs automatically move to a certain area for no real reason. Yeah, From Software is pretty poor at their optimization. Another Jagged Ghost Blade. Apparently the ghost that screams over has a really low chance of dropping another blade of the caliber, but it's somehow nowhere near as good as the Jagged Ghost Blade, which makes no sense to me. It's like, you want to kill the ghost that's more common to get an actually good weapon, or do you want to kill the ghost that I think only appears in 2 different rooms in the entire game to maybe get a weapon that's that lets you deal as less damage or whatever. But yeah, I don't know if you probably already knew about this, because this game is pretty fucking old at this point. It is 10 years old at least. Shocking. So is Dark Souls 2, but that's not the point. You actually go through that room again, just to have them move to a different spot. Which I think is fucking annoying, but some people consider it a good thing, like how you can only get your humanity back at bonfires, which is just fucking crap. But whatever. Yeah, I've definitely noticed that. Although I'm pretty sure Neo 2 is a similar enemy and is nowhere near as annoying. Anyway, before I go through the final parts of the game, which is without a doubt the worst parts of the game, I actually have to do some farming, and I need to get the rest of the Covenant items, which is the what the hell is it? The Eye of Death and the Souvenir of Reprisal, I think it's called. Which, one thing I will give Dark Souls 1 that no other Souls game has done, Covenant farming, at least in this game, is not as bad. Now, it's not good, because you have to kill the same enemy over and over again, but I wouldn't say it's the worst thing on the planet. Mainly because the enemies you do have to farm, they only drop 1 item, and their drop rates are seemingly consistent even without farm gear or whatever, if that makes sense. Like, Dark Souls 2 and 3 are just fucking horrendous at that, and it's really annoying. Like, Dark Souls 1 has those bird ladies who only drop that 1 item, the ear, and yet they pretty much drop it like every other kill. Only problem is that they're in the area you can't travel to if you rest at the bonfire, which is fucking stupid, but whatever. You can at least warp to it fine, and then like use Homeward Bound to leave. Well, you have to at least visit the area once, I guess. It makes sense. Like, going through the painting again, and you're just basically fucked. The game has that thing where it just kind of forces you to reset at that area. I guess it's like a weird failsafe or some shit, or a form of punishment for adhering to the game's rules. Anyway, also a reason why I'm doing this is because you actually can get kicked out of one of the covenants if you do not do it before this specific point. So I'm pretty much trying to wrap up the stuff before I move on. And that's also another thing too. You only really need to get 10 of most of the items. I don't really know if it's fair to equate glitches into the progression route, but it's still a lot more reasonable than that of the others games that make you farm like a lot of the items and their drop rates are really fucking piss poor. And I already got one, so they're in good numbers. They can easily go down with the proper equipment, and you only need 10 of them. So I think that's more of a fair share of trade than having to farm 30 of those fucking ears from the knights who have a really shitty drop pool, like a shitty gacha game, and it's, I think they're even... I would say the skeletons in Dark Souls 3 have a really shitty drop rate for the shackles. It's just a fucking nightmare. Like, it's just a miserable experience. Alright, Yuval. Don't forget that we're here for you if insomnia is kicking in. Insomnia is never fun. Hey look, I only need 3 more. So, I should get the depths farming done. But yeah, going on about optimization, I think people would actually defend Elden Ring in that you're just not allowed to talk about the fact that the game isn't the most optimized game on the planet. Like, it's not that big of a deal, whatever, which is just fucking absurd. But I don't really want to get into that. I'm not going to try to pull a Wings of Redemption saying I'm not going to get into it and then spend, like, the next 20 minutes going about some stupid shit that you said way back when it was on... what the hell was it? TKA? Which, I guess I could technically talk about that specific thing for a bit, which... I don't want to sound like I'm a defender of Wings, but... Even though what he said back on PK was really fucked up, I think there's still a lot of dirt you can get on him for things he's done in the past couple years compared to the podcast that he inherently ruined by his own actions. Like, just going by his logic of saying that I said that shit for a shock jock about the age of consent crap, there is still a lot of dirt you can find on the dude. You don't even have to, like, look through years of material. Because it is pretty stupid that people get their entire careers ruined within seconds because something they said like 20 years ago, but Wings is that kind of person who will always find stupid shit to say every fucking day. So, it's, pretty bad. Native version of Elden Ring on PS5 doesn't run at, 60 frames. Oh, but Mr. Machiavelli, the game is open world. Of course the game can't run at 60 frames. What do you expect from the game? It's not the same people who excuse the fact that they blatantly reuse boss fights in the most annoying way possible. Even the bosses that you know are supposed to be tied to lore or whatever, and yet they just brush it off as a nothing excuse because From Software just had to put those many bosses in the game. That's fucking crap. Like, even great games like Symphony of the Night reuse bosses the most annoying way possible. I forget what the name of the boss is in Symphony of the Night, but you fight this dude in the clock tower, I guess, and he's like a really big fucking pushover, and then when you get to the inverted clock tower, you basically fight in a... there's basically the big room before you fight the mummies, and there's just a whole bunch of them. Like, this is fucking lazy design. Differences of Symphony of the Night is one of the easiest games in the Castlevania series, if you kind of think about it for a couple seconds. Whereas Elden Ring is supposed to be this high-octane combat game, except the enemies can do everything that you can't, and yet people excuse the fact that there's literally fucking boss encounters that are reused, even ones from, like, optional dungeons and some shit. Like, I don't think you can really get away with that stuff anymore, unless you actually make the enemies, like, unique or whatever. Not to sound like a boomer or anything of the sort, but even something like Kid Chameleon, a game that does blatantly reuse enemies, but the difference that it was made on the Genesis, It's like, you know when you fight a certain enemy and you know it's a different color, at least you know it's going to have a little bit more extra health. Especially the lion dudes who shoot those orb things, so you know they're going to be more of a pain in the ass to fight. If that makes any fucking sense. It probably doesn't, but the fact that people defend From Software, it's just ridiculous to me, but it's, there's a fair share of being able to criticize a game dev for doing something that most wouldn't be able to get away with, compared to just mindless hate that people say that it is. Also, the PC port, I'm pretty sure, was launched with a lot of instability, but yet people can't bring that up apparently because, you know, not allowed. Ouch. And yes, I'm using the Chaos Reinforced Club and my stats in case you care, so I'm not just smurfing for the sake of it or whatever. Though I am going to get the spread gun magic in this game, since it's going to help with New Game Plus a lot. It may not be the most legit run, but I don't think people would actually play this regardless of the glitches, so I kind of don't want to hear it. I do have an interesting story to share though, which it might sound like an asshole for saying it, but that friend I mentioned that didn't like my opinions on Elden Ring. This dude could not handle playing the game like how Dark Souls 3 is omnidirection, so I basically literally had to carry him throughout the game because he couldn't handle the four-way movement in the game, but yet can't criticize Elden Ring because I didn't play it. So I basically had to help him throughout the game because the combat in Dark Souls 1 is clunky as fuck, which is true, but then once again on my case for not liking Elden Ring for very valid reasons. I think he asked me to help him in Bloodborne as well, and I even said, want me to help in the DLC, and he said no. I remember the co-op in Bloodborne, even with the the password matching system is just completely fucked. I also really hate people who try to justify the game's matchmaking to the lore, because what fucking game do you want to spend trying to get the fucking thing that most people play games for nowadays, is the multiplayer? Like, people clearly hate math, so why the hell did they pull up a fucking calculator or matchmaking calculator to see how it works in the first place? Like, can you imagine if Call of Duty had matchmaking like Dark Souls? I think people want to kill themselves before they play it again. And people already make a big stink about skill-based matchmaking, so it's just like, what the fuck? Not even Mindjack was that draconian about it. You can also turn off invasions too in that game. You can go for the game as a co-op experience, or have people potentially join your game in order to screw over your actual campaign progress. Which I say is even more annoying thing, because that game is already clunky as hell to begin with. And the most you can really do is have people not be able to progress, because you're basically controlling enemies who are not really that fun to fight or control, who are not really that good to control, let alone fight, but it at least was a lot more interesting. It's kind of like that one mode in Resident Evil 6, I think, that got scrapped or some shit, where we basically controlled the enemies or something. It's got that one mode in Perfect Dark I run good enough where there's counter operative where one person is the Joanna and the other person is the enemies, I think. Agent Hunt? No. I'm talking about Mindjack. It's that... I think Square Enix published the game. I don't know. It was basically... It was this game that basically plays like Gears of War, but the main thing is that you can control the enemies that you've executed or whatever. It wasn't really good, but I kind of liked it in a way. I actually have a very old Twitch VOD of me actually playing the multiplayer because you guys got into someone's game. I was really happy, but it's but even that game had an invasion system. Oh yeah, Agent Hunt. Oh okay, my bad. But my point is that even games like Perfect Dark or even Resident Evil 6 on Mindjack have much more interesting invasion mechanics and actually have real consequences of dying, whereas in Dark Souls it's just you get sent back to the last retry point. Oh no. But yeah, I still don't know why people have to make like legitimate arguments about whether invasions are not really make an impact to the game, because I really feel that they don't in a way, because I don't think it works as how people describe it, is that when you're summoning people, there's a greater chance of being invaded, which if that was the case, it should have been more monsters and maybe having like a random invader like Forlorn from Skull the First Sin to maybe make it more interesting or whatever. I mean, games literally do the whole randomly generated gear shit, like this guy or some shit, so why not just have some sort of handcrafted invader that uses random gear and shit? I mean, games do that shit all the time. Hell, Dragon Ball Xenoverse 2 did that shit, or even Xenoverse 1, I think, where you fight against random time patrols wearing completely randomized gear with completely randomly generated names and some shit. Oh, but it would go against the lore of the game. Okay. What fucking lore would it go against? Miyazaki's fucking plagiarism for No Country for Old Men? Okay. Like, I get that Dark Souls tells stories in a way that's more interesting than the common game, but there's a reason why movies like No Country for Old Men, or even any form of medium, where if it just recycles the same thing, it would just be really fucking annoying. Like, look at all the various Souls-likes, and how many of them actually stand the test of time. Not just playable, like, actually standing the test of time. I say even the original Lords of the Fallen is pretty good. It's just that there's some enemies that are just really fucking annoying to fight, and if people want to go on about fucking easy mode bullshit, then the Magic playstyle could be seen as baby's first Souls game. But even to the game's credit, it at least kind of tells you that the Magic is actually an important piece and not just some optional way of making the game easier on yourself. But anyway, hopefully you're doing well. I know you mentioned you had some sort of pain that was going on. Fuck. There we go. Made it. Oh, I do have 10, right? Okay, good. Yeah, I got 10. Oh no, I'm healing. I'm cheating, guys. I'm cheating by giving myself more health back. What the fuck? People are stupid. can actually run around with Havels in this. It's scary. Fuck. There we go. Oh, I barely did anything. Fuck. Oh, okay, that's good. Even back pains can prove to be annoying, so make sure you don't overdo it. What if I got his weapon? Oh shit, I did. Good shit. Let's see, is there any interesting gaming discourse worth talking about? I haven't really been keeping up with it much besides the whole Sonic generation censorship bullshit which people are somehow defending in 2024, which is massively retarded. The only thing I really find of interest that I've personally seen is that there is this person, I guess, that mentioned how the Activision was to be sued because they're making their Call of Duty games not having... No. That their games can't be played in single player. Yeah, exactly. Basically, someone tweeted on the XCOM saying that Activision should be sued for having their games being online only because the campaign can't be played in offline, which I would agree. Except, like, they've been doing this shit since Black Ops 4, and I'm pretty sure people try to defend them by saying, who the fuck plays Call of Duty for the campaign? And then ever since Modern Warfare 2019 came out, it had requirements for all modes anyway, so I think we're kind of 5 years too late, especially when you see asshats will literally defend the thing that they're going to play anyway. It's fucking retarded. Love or hate World War II, it really is like Alpha and Omega, the beginning and the end. They want to go back to its roots so fucking bad, but at least can fucking play the game offline. Horribly botched the whole World War II historic setting, and yet you can still fucking play the game offline. You can play against shipment with bots offline, and even play the zombies mode for whatever reason, and all that bullshit. Yeah, basically. I'm not trying to say their opinion is wrong, because it is very much bullshit that you can't even play the single-player campaign in offline mode, but these same people would literally say that, oh, who plays Call of Duty for the campaign? Lol. And now that they want to play the campaign in Black Ops 6, it's like, now you're starting to see the picture? Like with Diablo 3 back in, was it 2012, I think, or 2011? I think it was 2012. Or whatever it was. The show was a big fucking deal, and yet people are excusing it because, oh, who doesn't have internet in 2024? Or whatever the fuck. It's fucking stupid. And not even the Battle Royale is going to really save it for me personally. I just fucking hate the genre. I don't like that hardcore shit, or even just Battle Royale in general. Like, legit the only, I think I mentioned this, the only games I can accept the elimination style is games that have the finite life system, with some game modes having that, like Time Splitters or Halo, if you set up the rules correctly. Or in those racing games where the person in last place gets eliminated after a full lap. That's about it. Also, most of the elements in fucking Battle Royale, I've literally seen them in other better games. I was actually playing Ghost Recon Wildlands, and I know it's an Ubisoft game, but you can still kind of get a similar experience, especially with friends. Or even Borderlands if it's loot rarity crap. Which apparently Borderlands 1 turned 15 years old, I think, which is depressing. And I know for a fact I put in a lot more time into that game compared to Modern Warfare 2, because at least you can actually play the game by yourself and you get more mileage out of it than the popular multiplayer game that requires people to play with to begin with, which is kind of disappointing, to be honest, but it is what it is. At least Borderlands 1's writing isn't as annoying as it is in the other games. But I still like the gunplay loop, or whatever you want to call it. I'm willing to take the good with the bad. I just don't want to be fucking annoyed every time I have to do some shit. Now I'm trying to say it's like a die-hard Borderlands fanboy or whatever. I didn't really like the humor back then for Borderlands 2. I just thought it was fucking dumb. Like, people think Claptrap is just as annoying shit, but yet in Borderlands 1 at worst, it was just one of those type of characters that says, hey, there's a new mission in Firestone. And that's about it. That's all he was. I love how my virginity died along with the frame right there. I guess that makes the both of us. At least these enemies only have one drop, which is the ears. The problem is that they're kind of tough cookies. No pun intended. And yes, I know their design is quite adequate, but I kind of don't give a shit. And I also really hate how they make the one unique NPC looking exactly like them, so I bet people's first reactions when seeing them is that it's they killed him and they miss out on the Mega Blacksmith. Which I think is fucking stupid, personally. It would kind of make sense if there was, like, another area where you actually fought those enemies. But no, they just bring back a character in Dark Souls 2 that so happens to be the same species as these fucking bird ladies. I never understood that. I just think it's inherently bad design. And I don't give a fuck how much of a sub it makes me sound. Like, just think about it for a second, okay? This might be a really shitty analogy, but I'm just gonna go with it anyway. Let's say you're playing Dragon Quest, and you always fought dragons and shit, and then in the next game you find a friendly dragon, but yet all the times you fought dragons, it doesn't go well. So your first instinct on finding a dragon that doesn't immediately attack you, maybe I should beat the fuck out of this dragon. I don't know, I just never liked that shit. I just think it's fucking stupid. I also don't ever hear people complaining about others gooning, or whatever the fuck that word means, when they literally get off to, like, polygonal feet in From Software games. I mean, like what you want, just don't be a fucking creep about it. Like, almost every day that I go into XCOM, like, people are always complaining about people getting off to weird shit, but then they're not any better when they have Lady D mods installed in Resident Evil Village. I don't want to sound like a hypocrite or a gatekeeper, but it's just fucking stupid. There's a reason they say you don't have to share everything in the fucking internet, dude. I don't know, that shit just really fucking annoys me. Especially when the game in question is just not that enjoyable and the only thing that people talk about is the fucking fan service. Which people unintentionally label that with Senran Kagura because it's a Musou game. Or even... Or you can't say about games like Bayonetta because it's basically Devil May Cry but gender-bent Dante or some shit. I can respect Bayonetta, but I just personally didn't think it was for me. Although there is no doubt a lot of media where they only focus on the fan service and it kind of gets a bad rep for that. And I think people kind of misconstrued it too, to be perfectly honest. Because if I don't shoot them, or if I don't kill them, they're going to shoot me with fireballs, which are apparently horribly aimed or whatever. The worst they've done is take all my souls, but they're otherwise perfectly friendly people. Also, I'm pretty sure you might know this too, but if you actually rest at the bonfire for the first time and then leave the area, and of course having a Lord Vessel so you can WARP, can't trigger the From Software Phantom with that word, you can actually go back and revisit the area without having to forcibly leave. It's basically a one-way ticket. And plus, I'm trying to get the ears for the Dark Moon Covenant. I think I only need 10 if I remember correctly. And I have 3. Yes, ballsack head hollows that also have such bad juices that they make you go toxic. Gross. But yeah, I know that the MiHoYo game, Z3 or whatever the fuck it's called, I'm sure the gameplay is decent, but I just don't like the fact that the game is a gacha game. That is more of enough than a turn-off than when Quagmire tried to view granny porn or whatever. It's just fucking stupid. I don't give a fuck if it's free to play or not. I don't want to have to succumb to potentially buying gacha whatever crap. And like I meant, oh my fucking god. There are pieces of media that blatantly go over with the fan service, and even the stuff itself is just, what the fuck? There's a good ton of IPs or whatever that actually do have bloated fan service and don't have much else to offer. Or even anime like Fire Force, it could be decent, but the fan service just kind of ruins it. Especially when it's supposed to be about firefighters and shit, and you have one of the characters looking like she's from a fucking Final Fantasy game. It's fucking weird. I don't sound like a prude or anything, but it can be valid criticism, especially if the fan service is like the only thing that it has going for it, and the fucking item dropped in a fucking hole, and I'm really mad about that. It's like the people who criticize Dead or Alive for being nothing but sexy booba game, but there is actual depth to it. They just ignorant on the fact. It is more than enough damning evidence to make it so. I don't know. I sound like an asshole or hypocrite. It's just it just annoys me that people are like that sometimes. It's just a really shitty double-edged sword, honestly. I think there's also this free-to-play game that like has a lot of attention to detail on the booba or whatever, but yet is the game actually good? Like, it's ridiculous. People say you're not allowed to just focus on the booba, yet that's all they do, and yet when you ask them for that, they call you a prude or some shit. It's just fucking stupid. It's like playing a hentai game, thinking it's going to be good, and yet it's either just has really shitty writing, or it's one of those early access games, and it just leaves you wanting more, and it turns out to be abandoned. I think that's the one. I don't know. I'm just not really interested in the free-to-play market, because most of it is just... It's either gacha now, or it just has really shitty microtransactions. And it feels like you're basically downloading a license for a game that might just shut down at any point. I don't know. I know it sounds extremely arrogant, but it's, even though I didn't really enjoy Bayonetta compared to most people, at least I can still play the game, if that makes sense. Like, if I'm ever feeling bored, I at least know I spent money on a game that people like and make conversations about it. If I ever get around to playing 2 and 3, though, I really hope they're a lot better than the first one. Or maybe if I hate myself even more, I'll find a play for Nier Automata. Especially when people complain about the first chapter or whatever, it's like God forbid people can actually have like legitimate criticism. And it just turns to, oh, you're just a hater of the game. Wow, that's really fucking mature. Oh yeah, the Gundam FPS game. I actually checked on the wiki, and I wanted to see if the Psycho Gundam Mark III appeared in other games. Apparently he's made one other appearance in this SD Gundam game, so I might consider playing that. I know it's not a fighting game, but I still want to see my boy in action. I just find it really funny that an entire Gundam that's basically designed by the man who also designed the classic RX-78 Gundam is not considered canon. It'd be like if Arika Toriyama designed a character that's not even canon and only having very brief appearances in some shit. It's just crazy to me, to be honest. And the thing that sucks is that even though Psycho Gundam Mark III is basically just a very basic giant-ass Gundam and shit, it's barely used, and yet it's designed by the man himself. It just seems weird to me, to be honest. I don't know. I don't know why that one specific Gundam hardly got any recognition in any other game. I mean, it's not like in King of Fighters where they blatantly ripped off another anime character or some shit. It's just... I honestly don't even know. The Pale Riders? I don't know. I'll admit I don't really know much about Gundam besides like the few bits I remember watching on Tsunami, which is somehow a bad thing. But whatever. But I know there's that Gundam fighting game that's on PS4, I think. I don't know if it's optimized for PS5, though. But I believe it was actually a localized version with Japanese voices, thankfully, so it's not entirely terrible. It's more of a... I don't know what the hell you want to call it. I don't know if Arena Fighter would make sense. But... I don't know. I think it's Extreme Maxa Boost or some shit. Way better than Gundam Versus, by the way, since you can actually play in local multiplayer. But remember, guys, exclusives are bad. Damn those exclusives. So let's celebrate a Gundam game that only got a PlayStation release. Is Heavy Arms in the game? I can imagine that if the developers try to make like the Doomslayer's minigun work in that game, it would be kind of interesting. It's like the one thing I kind of liked about Modern Doom is that mod for the chain gun, where it gives you so many barrels and stuff. It's actually kind of cool. Such heresy, I know, but it's just too bad it's in a shitty game. Wink. Ah, that sucks. I know Gundam the Battlemaster 1 and 2 have completely unique pilots, but I think it's just to give them an excuse to have different universes going up each other, whatever. Like, and I don't remember all the names, so you have to excuse me, even their model names. Like, you have some dude piloting the RX-78, but then you fight opponents like Hama Hama and New Gundam, if that makes sense. Fuck. Yeah, it's a PS4 game. I believe there was a bunch of arcade games that were released for them, but then they got ported to mainly PlayStation 3, but in Japan. I actually remember buying the original game that was on PS3, but it was. I actually had a retro game store that sometimes sells imported goods, and that was one of the games that I got. That and the PS3 is region free, which is always a plus. I know it's not like the 2D fighting games of old, but I'll take a good Gundam fighting game any day, honestly. I mean, it's kind of hard to fuck up a Gundam fighting game. Even if it is a arena combat game or whatever. I forget the name of the character that pilots it. I said Drev. Wow. Scrub. Shit, I forget the name. I gotta look it up now because it's gonna fucking drive me nuts. I'm definitely certain it wasn't from Gundam Wing. Here we go. Lawrence Sehak from New Gundam. And what Gundam does this person pilot? And no, I didn't watch the anime of it. I've only watched Gundam Wing and maybe a little bit of I think I remember watching like, I forget when this was, but like the original Gundam. Ah shit. Well, I'll have to add you if that's the case. There we go, becoming a pilot. I just want to see what Gundam this person used. Here we go. The system dash new 90. I'm probably not even saying it correctly. Yeah, it's white doll or mustache. I don't know. From a pure gameplay stance, the Gundam's pretty fun to use. At least in that particular game. I assume you played in the... I think you say you're the PS5, right? Let's see. Oh, apparently this Gundam is a mace and some sort of rifle. Okay. Alright, let me go back to the painted world. I gotta finish getting the ears, I guess. And then I'll probably fight, what's-his-face offline because I want to deal with that in the online world. And I have 6 more ears to go. Yay me. But yeah, I suppose I'll give it a shot. I gotta see how much space I have in the PS5 though. Make sure to look into all the fun stuff. But I guess if it's not as bad compared to or I guess if it's not to my liking, I guess it's always Force. I think that's what it's called. I don't remember. I think one of the Gundam collabs over actually has a Gundam in it, which just makes no sense. It's like when you're playing Mugen, but you have Ryu going up against the RX-78 Gundam. I guess in terms of gameplay it makes sense, but in like... I'm sorry, unless it's like cosplay or some shit, that just makes no fucking sense. Or like a downright parody like R107. It doesn't make any fucking sense. Since I've been playing the PS3 for a bit, I really wanted to try and get into that Gundam Muso game. The one that's exclusive to the PS3. Oh, okay. I'll have to look at it. I think I've... Well, I don't think I've seen that particular one, but I'll have to get my memory refreshed. Probably do a little bit more farming, I guess, and I'll probably get off too, since not gonna get much more traffic at this time of the hour. Because I'm not playing Fortnite for like 12 hours a day, unfortunately. I mean, people like it, and it's fine, but it's I'm not going to exactly bend over to their whim because, you know, it's fun. It's just a really messy situation, but I'll try to focus on fighting these things for the time being and die horribly because of it. But yeah, that's like the one thing I will give Dark Souls 1 credit, is that the Covenant farming is nowhere near as bad. Yeah, actually I remember streaming that, and I think someone asked me, why the hell am I playing this? Because it's, you can actually play it solo, but yet, they kind of ditched that, I think, so now it's just entirely pointless. That's not on the Switch version, which makes no fucking sense. I would have to be really, really fucking bored to play that shit. Like, so bored I'd actually play Doom Eternal levels of bored, and that's pretty fucking sad. I'm sure the kids will be creaming, though, when Doom Dark Ages comes out. I'll probably be doing literally anything else besides attempting to simp over such shitty games, honestly. Didn't like 2016, hated Eternal. Why the hell should I bother with the next one? I'd really rather play Wolfenstein Youngblood before I bother with Doom Dark Ages. And I know that people don't like that game, but I can kind of forgive it in a very specific way. And that sounds really fucking heresy, but at least to play Devil's Advocate, the two girls in the game that always talk is just like a shitty, unfunny version of all the one-liners that Duke Nukem would come up with, but at least the cutscenes are thrown in like the beginning of the game, and most of it is just the other crap that people don't really care about. But I suppose considering it's an alternate timeline, I can kind of give it some slack, but there is still some modern day pandering that's there. So that's the way that I look at the Wolfenstein games. If that makes any fucking sense. At least there's the Wolfenstein 2009 game. The only thing that sucked about the game was the fucking health regeneration like it's Call of Duty and the limited save system. Even if you were to put in a thing to have manual saving, it can actually break during boss fights. Still a better game than Modern Doom, though, that's for fucking sure. That's also another thing that I kind of missed in Wolfenstein 2009. I know the hub levels are kind of not as interesting compared to the main levels, but you can still just kind of go around in between levels just shooting out the enemies while going to your next adventure. And even reloading your last save before the final level, since the game kind of stops after that point. You can still just kind of go around and just fucking around for a bit, which is kind of fun. Not to mention the cheat mode you unlock after beating the game, which basically lets you utilize all the powers and stuff. Yeah, that game was interesting. I want to play for the original Xbox version to unlock the game on the original version, but apparently there's no way to like actually extract it from the disc, because I remember watching a Modern Vintage Gamer video about it. So I don't know if like the port itself, Wolfenstein 3D, is any good. Speaking of Wolfenstein 3, I find it extremely ironic that there's actually a pretty much nearly uncensored, or not even censored at all, version of Wolfenstein 3D in the Game Boy Advance. The only problem is that it's missing music. Like, legit. It's like Doom on the Jaguar, except it actually plays pretty decently for a Game Boy Advance game. The only problem though with it is that you couldn't save during levels. You can only save after You can only save after beating normal levels. And for some reason, you can't save while you're after clearing a secret when you reach a level secret. A secret level entrance, like the one in E1, M1, or Wolfenstein, as that's called in Doom 2. I'll have to play the PC version at some point, but I know you have to use Joy-to-Key since there's just no native controller input, like with Doom 3. But I guess that's why programs like Joy-to-Key exist. Oh, you can't play a shooter game controller. Then why did my Doom 3 footage look like I was playing the console version, except I bind the keys to make it fitting however I'd like. I mean, yeah, you might use the mouse to move around in menus, but it's not like you're actually... It's not like where the game actually pauses or whatever, or the game doesn't pause or whatever. I don't know. I understand if you're playing it in people against multiplayer, but even at the end of the day, it's if I want to use a controller, you fucking use a controller. So, shut up. I mean, even games like Dark Souls recommends you playing the game with a controller, so why not play it on PC? Or play the game with keyboard and PC, because the game plays like actual shit if you use a fucking keyboard. Sounds pretty bad to me, Chief. I think I mentioned this, but there's this Twitter account or XCOM account, whatever the fuck. They mentioned that they never played Time Splitters because it was on console and it's old. Which is just fucking disgraceful for a Twitter account that mainly talks about first-person shooter aesthetics. Which is fucking disgusting, personally. It goes to show how fucking biased some people are, all because you can't play the one game with mouse and keyboard. And I think they're also the person that kind of started the whole yellow paint discourse bullshit. Or whatever crap. And I guarantee if you said something like that about Resident Evil 4 or fucking Shadow of the Colossus, you'd be hung by the fucking gallows for disrespecting gaming's greatest games or whatever the fuck. That's basically everything better that Resident Evil 4 failed to do, and Shadow of the Colossus is just an empty fucking open world game. There's literally nothing to do in the game besides hunting lizards and maybe doing the time attack after beating the game once. That game would have actually been a lot better if it wasn't trying to be open world or whatever. Like, legit. There are games that are focused on boss attacks that doesn't have to have a fucking open world sandbox or whatever on it. I don't know why the devs trying to add in a fucking open world mechanic with absolutely nothing to do with it was a good idea. Also runs like shit in the PS2, but I guess considering that it's showing what the PS2 can do, it's whatever. Also, Bluepoint completely remade the game, yet nobody bats an eye at them except when they did it with Demon's Souls. Then they bitched. But they still don't bitch at fucking Bluepoint for ruining Shadow of the Colossus. It's fucking retarded. I hate to sound like Matt Muscles with Resident Evil 3 remake, but Demon's Souls Remaster is perfectly suitable. Not acceptable, suitable. I'd probably rather play that over Elden Ring, to be honest, because at least I had a fucking open world game, for one. Well, almost died. I think one had 6 ears by now, but unfortunately one of the bodies dropped in the hole, so... And if you go in the hole, you're fucking dead. Which I don't understand. Like, legit, going in that hole just fucking kills you, and I don't understand. Also, speaking of drop rates, one of the things I never will ever understand is that one of the enemies early on in Dark Souls 3 literally drops rubbish. What the fuck is the point of an enemy dropping an item that has literally no function whatsoever? To play Devil's Advocate, I believe the fucking pendant in-game was like the most trolled thing ever in game, but from a pure gameplay stance, you could at the very least trade it to Snuggly the Crow to get an item, and that's basically it. Miyazaki was just being a fucking funny jackass about the fucking thing. And even the rubbish in this game, you can trade it for something. I forget what exactly, but you can trade it for something. So it kind of has some use. And I think it only appears in like one area, I think, or some shit. Or in Dark Souls 2, you actually get it as punishment, ironically enough, for breaking wooden chests, and you don't get the item that was in there. So you basically get it as a form of, wow, you got rubbish instead of fucking Titanite slabs and dragon bones, you fucker. But in Dark Souls 3, it's like a common drop for those enemies that have those fucking pots and saws and shit, and yet it has no fucking use in the game whatsoever. Literally no use whatsoever. I bet these fucking asshats who defend the fucking game to the end of the earth will try to mansplain as to why it's a good thing an enemy drops an item that literally has no fucking use whatsoever. I don't even think the fucking Shrine Maiden, like, will take them for any decent amount of souls. Like, why the fuck is it an item that's there to begin with? Like, if the game wanted to be all fan servicey, right? Like, why not have a mimic that, like, has a unique dying animation where it just crumbles up and then it drops rubbish? Kind of a cool little throwback to how wooden chests in Dark Souls 2 would give you rubbish. You know, since the game wants to be fucking Dark Souls fan service the game. Oh, you're back? You didn't really miss much. I was just bitching about rubbish in Dark Souls 3 that I am anyway. And I was going on about how, if they wanted to be cute and funny by having a shit ton of references, if it's not already, fanfiction.net's version of Dark Souls, they could have had, like, a special mimic where it basically crumbles up, you know, like, breaks when you defeat it, and actually drops rubbish, having, like, a little throwback to how in Dark Souls 2, if you break wooden chests, it actually drops rubbish to the item that's in it or something. Since the item drops from those giant red enemies that you fight early on in the game, and yet literally have no fucking use except maybe getting a couple extra souls from the Shrine Maiden. Can't even drop it to the crows because I don't think they give you anything for it. And even in Dark Souls 1 and I don't think in Dark Souls 2, it was more of a punishment item for breaking the chests. You at least got something for trading with the crows. And even the fucking pendant that even Miyazaki himself had fun trolling other people with, at least gave you something in-game for in-game reward, I guess, if that makes any fucking sense. It's not even like a joke item too or anything. It's just a shitty item with no real reward except item collection, I guess. Anyway, glad you got your heating pad at least. I'm sure I'll be getting some extra massages. If those help, hopefully. But yeah, going in this fucking hole just kills you. And one of the enemies actually dropped in there, so I can't even get the fucking ear that they got. So why the fuck is it there? To troll the player? Wow, never heard of that before. I don't know. Anyway, I actually did beat Ratchet Deadlocked, but I actually did beat Ratchet Deadlock, and I actually really liked playing the game, even though they kind of took away the exploration. But they definitely amped up the combat by tenfold. And if you're actually able to get your hands on the PS2 version, I definitely recommend it, especially if you're looking for a co-op game to play with the missus, if I'm saying that correctly. It's actually a really good game, but I'm really pissed off that the game, especially the PS3 HD version, not only removes the 4-player split screen in favor of 2 for no real reason, but the game actually crashed during an autosave, and I lost all my progress from the New Game Plus. Yes, you can make multiple game saves, but it's just really fucking annoying. I basically go through the entire game again. So, it's, definitely gets an F on my fucking, game rating scale, just for the sole fact that your fucking save data can be completely wiped, like my 99 humanity from that fucking random-ass fireball from that nutsack shooting sperm fire from Timbuktu. I know she's taking that fucking right at Albuquerque. Son of a bitch. It's actually a much more exhilarating first-person shooter since it's actually a first-person mode than Modern Doom, not even kidding. I mean, yeah, you'll be doing backflips and jump flips most of the time, but it's basically the same principle as Modern Doom, with the whole no needing to reload or whatever, weapons upgrading the more you use them. The only difference is you can actually play the game in third person and can switch between the two at any time. So it's kind of like in Battlefront 2, where you can switch between third and first person, so it's not visually monotonous. You can also unlock a jack skin, but for some reason only player 2 can use it, and I believe it's because Insomniac didn't feel like letting players run around as a red jack, since player 1 is always the red skin, and player 2 is always blue or some shit. It's really fucking stupid. Anyway, speaking of starter classes for Dark Souls, I would agree as well, except I usually go with the Black Firebomb, since you can get the Demon's Great Hammer for whatever reason. Or if I don't feel like getting either, I just pick the, what the fuck is it? Yeah, that's gonna be a highlight for sure. I actually got to upload one with, the one in GTA Online where I ran into a really stupid glitch. Fuck. Well, I guess I got the revenge after all for killing me a bunch of times. For me killing him a bunch of times, but still. Well, at least the good news, I only have a couple more years to go, but I know that in this game, if you drop the Sunlight Maggot, you can actually get the Chaos Witch Ring, which all it really does is it just enables human interaction with Quay-like Sister, which is a really shitty trade, by the way. It's like, think about it. You're given an item that lets you have a free light source, considering the Tomb of the Giants sucks shit, and you're going to sacrifice that for maybe a couple extra lore dumps. That's really fucking stupid, I'm sorry. It's about as stupid as people who think that every game needs to have stories like Dark Souls, or games that need to have non-hand-holdy bullshit like in Dark Souls. I'm sorry. Alright. I'll have a look when I'm done reaching my goal. If I reach it. Like, I know it sounds stupid to say, but if every game were like Dark Souls, it'd be fucking stupid. Like, that's why people believe that sort of mindset for, like, anything. Yes, it is obviously true that a lot of games are becoming too easy, but not every game needs to be designed like fucking Dark Souls. So people want to jump in a game and play whatever, and maybe move on to something else. It doesn't mean making the game easy over. It just means that not every game needs to fucking copy Dark Souls in the wrong ways and a lot of times. Like, can you imagine cinematic masterpiece like Godfather having fucking No Country for Old Men style storytelling? It'd be fucking boring and stupid. Hell, some people think that Blade Runner is the most boring movie in existence. You don't want every film to be like Blade Runner. It would be the greatest cure for insomnia of all time. And I don't say that lightly. But I guess some people really like that stuff, but not everything needs to be like it. That's why people can like different things. Just some people are really fucking stupid about it. Yes, I like a keep it strict, but I don't think every game should emulate its playstyle, because it'd be fucking terrible if it was. Alright. Let me go ahead and try to wrap this up. Let me get this up. Here we go. No, it's the Nut Shack, actually. Or actually, it's the beat of It's the Nut Shack, but it sounds, they're actually saying It's the Nut Sack. And that song from Grip Shift, that sounds like they're saying, aw shit. Or Shift, sorry. Aw shift. Grip, aw shift. They knew what they were doing. But unfortunately, pointed out to me fucking D-Docs, like fucking shitty reviews in his, so stellar takes on about anime on the XCOM and shit. That was really fucking uncalled for, by the way. People thinking that they'll fucking high ground, but then they get pissed off at a person who just posts anime clips out of context or whatever the fuck. But yeah, I'll catch you soon. Thanks for the company. Don't forget the video. Let's see, gotta plug this in. There we go. Alright, let's see how many ears I have left. I think I need, oh shit, I need 3 more. I don't know if I got them done in time or not, but I'll see what I can do. Alright. Alright, this will probably be my last one. I'll probably get off, to be honest. I don't feel like playing anything else. Might do some retro art stuff, but really nothing too demanding. Fuck. But yeah, I think that's enough of harassing the bird woman. Alright, well, I'm gonna prepare for the next session, and hopefully then I'll finally be able to take on the rest of the game, which I am so not looking forward to, but we all gotta do what we all gotta do, right? Alright.